All right, everybody, we're back. Welcome to the part two of today's high noon show. Hot topics, hot content, headlines, all of that stuff. I apologize for that. We had the internet just go kablooey on us. Probably from those squirrels having sex in the trees. I don't know. Probably. Hey, what can you expect? We're only a quarter century into the internet age. They can't possibly have the bugs worked out by now. This is going to happen from time to time. And even when I was doing major market broadcast radio, sometimes the signal would go out. It would just happen sometimes. All right, as long as we keep it down to a minimum. I hate that. Such a bummer. Such a bummer. I was rolling. The emotional exhaustion that occurs after I look over and I see that we're no longer connected is just like, oh God, how long has this been going on? How much have I said that just didn't go out anywhere, and now I got to recapture it? All right, so we're getting into what this day is. We were talking about William Henry Harrison. He died of pneumonia. He was only president for a month. John Tyler took over. Also, that was in 1841. Also on this day in 1865, Abraham Lincoln. He took over Richmond, Virginia, the Confederate capital, 1865 in the American Civil War. In 1949, during the Cold War, 12 nations signed the North Atlantic Treaty, creating the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO. Happy birthday, NATO. Born on this day in 1949. Keeping the world safe from dictatorial aggression since 1949. On this day, this is probably the big thing about today. On this day in 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. is assassinated by James Earl Ray at a motel in Memphis. The Hotel Lorraine Hotel. I've been there. I was there with my son. We went to this. The Lorraine Hotel is now part of the National Civil Rights Museum there in Memphis. It's pretty. It's how do you describe it? You don't go, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a fascinating and very interesting museum. My son and I went to. And I was so proud of my kid. I gave him the choice. I said, look, we're in Memphis for the day. What do you want to do? We can do two things. We can go see Graceland, or we can go across the street from the hotel and see the National Civil Rights Museum in the place where Martin Luther King was killed. And then we'll have barbecue. Because there was a barbecue restaurant right next door, a really famous one that I wanted to go to. So I was hoping that he would say the National Civil Rights Museum. And also because I'm banned for life from Graceland, and I didn't want to test that, even though it was like 27 years ago that I've been banned for life from Graceland. So, I didn't really want to go there. You've seen Graceland once, you don't need to see it. And to my kid's credit, he goes, oh, the museum sounds cool. And I was like, thank God. Thank God. So we went there, and it's interesting. Martin Luther King was killed as he stood on the balcony of the motel. It was a motel. This is not a hotel. This is not, this is one of those things where the doors open to the parking lots. And he was standing there out there on the railing, and James Earl Ray from a boarding house, which you can also see because the boarding house where he took the shot from is now, I don't know if it's a part of the museum, but you can see it. Like it's directly across the street from the motel where Dr. King was killed. And they have they have a wreath that hangs outside right on the railing. You know what I'm talking about? These double-decker hotels, motor inns, maybe they used to be called. And right where he was killed, they have a wreath there, and then there's like a couple of old-timey cars parked underneath. And the hotel doesn't exist anymore. Like I said, it's now part of the National Civil Rights Museum, which is a great museum. It's a really fascinating museum. It's a depressing museum, but it's a cool, if you like your history and all that kind of stuff. So we spent the day there. My son, the coolest picture my son ever took is there. I love this picture of him. It's a picture of him. He just looks buff because he was like 11 or 12, but he looked good. He was like really trim, and he was wearing all black, and he had a black mask on because it was, pandemic times. And he's standing in front of the Hotel Lorraine sign, and he just looks real defiant and like really cool. I love that picture of him. I want it blown up, and I want it turned into like a poster and I'll put it somewhere because it's just a really cool. It could be an album cover. Like if he becomes a hip hop star, like my son wants to be a hip hop star. He wants to be he wants to be a hip hop star. He wants to be a Formula One driver. He wants to be a stand-up comedian. Yeah. Okay. So those are his three life goals now. A stand-up comedian who's also a hip hop star. So basically Donald Glover, who's also a Formula One driver. Although I'm really pushing him away from the Formula One driver because if he can become the stand-up comedian and the hip hop star, he might have enough money to buy a chunk of a Formula One team. So we'll do that. Let him be an owner. Honestly, let's be truthful about it. We all just want to hang out in the pits wearing those cool ass fire suits and be a part of a team. I'm personally, I don't want to be in one of those death rockets. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the people who do want to be in the death rockets, but not for my son. Stand-up comedy, hip hop star. That's fine. Although hip hop star, it seems just about as dangerous these days as being a Formula One driver. So we'll have to see. Will C says Fat Elvis weighs 15 more pounds than you think. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Jeff says there are no pictures of Fat Elvis at Graceland. I don't know. I don't remember that. The whole time I was there, I was a little bit concerned. I was plotting something bad at Graceland, so I wasn't really taking it in the way a tourist might. I was more paying attention to where security was located, and yeah. So long story short, banned for life from Graceland. And if you listen to any of my shows over the years, you know why. I don't have to go into it. All right, I cannonballed into a swimming pool. All right, that's what I did. I jumped into a swimming pool. And I was dragged out and arrested in Memphis. Crazy bit, though. Great radio bit. Like a classic radio bit from the history of Chicago radio pranks. Very proud to be a part of it. I'm very proud if you haven't guessed that I'm banned for life from Graceland. Although, how do they enforce that? How do they enforce that? How do you go from commemorating the death of Martin Luther King to turning it into a 5-minute discussion about how you're banned from Graceland? I don't know, schizophrenic me. I'm a narcissist. Okay, what else happened on this day? Let's see here. The Twin Towers in 19... God bless Martin Luther King. Okay, probably shouldn't just gloss over that. It's a big deal in our nation's history. It happened on this day in 1968. On this day in 1973, another sort of big deal in our nation's history, the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center are officially dedicated and open for business on this day in 1973. What would that be? 28 years, stood for 28 years until September 11th, 2001. On this day, another monumental day in world history, I suppose. In 1975, on this day, Microsoft is founded as a partnership between Bill Gates and Paul Allen in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's right, not Seattle, Albuquerque, New Mexico. A couple of birthdays we're celebrating on this day. Born on this day in 1913, Muddy Waters, American singer, songwriter, and guitarist, died in 1983. Muddy Waters, the blues man. If you like blues, which I only discovered blues about 15 years ago. I grew up in the blues capital of the world, Chicago. I grew up on the South Side, which is the blues capital of the world. And I was always sort of, hesitant. I was like, come on, that stuff's all the same. And then I started going to blues clubs and places like that with my friend Doc back in the mid 90s. And I kind of got an impression that it was a cool ass scene that I had missed out on. And I was like, okay. And then that passed and I didn't really get into it. And then like a couple of years later, I'd say maybe 15 years ago or something, I started sort of really delving into the history of blues, and that's fascinating stuff. It's not just, it's not. That's what an ignorant person like myself would think it was. Muddy Waters, born on this day in 1913, the bluesman's bluesman. Fun fact, I went to college with his grandchildren. I went to college with... So his real name isn't Muddy Waters, but his family, or I think possibly one of his sons, had his name legally changed to Waters. Why not? Your dad is your dad is going around as Muddy Waters. You know, that's the family name. That's the family brand. So they changed the name to Waters, and they were twins. They were twin grandchildren of Muddy Waters, a boy and a girl, and their names were Blizette and Dance. Blizette Waters and Dance. Now, of course, Blizette went by Blue. She was Blue Waters, and Dance just was pushing back on the whole thing. Dance went by Dan. So it was Dan Waters and Blue Waters. They were beautiful. Blue was beautiful. Man, oh man. She had this whole way. You remember Different World? Remember that show? Remember the Cosby Show spinoff of Different World? She had this whole Cree Summer kind of thing kind of going. Cree Summer was an actress on that show. I don't remember who she played. She didn't play Whitley, and she didn't play Lisa Bonet, but she was another one. She had this sort of like, they were hippies, if you hadn't guessed, by the name Dance. So, Blue Waters and Dance. Happy birthday, Muddy. I knew your grandchildren for like a semester back in 1992. Born on this day in 1928, Maya Angelou, American memorist. It says memorist. I don't know what that word is. Oh, you're so stupid. It's memoirist. Yes. American memoirist. There it is. That word I know. American memoirist. I can't say it though. She's a poet. She was a poet, and I maintain that no white people knew who Maya Angelou was until Oprah Winfrey introduced her to everybody. And because I'm a white guy, I wasn't really paying attention to Oprah Winfrey. I mean, I knew she was a thing, but I wasn't really watching her show or anything like that. I still don't know who Maya Angelou is. I just know that she's important to a lot of people, and cool. That's all I know. Happy birthday, Maya Angelou. Born on this day in 1928, died in 2014. Clive Davis was born on this day in 1932, one of the most important people in American popular music. Clive Davis is the American record producer. He founded Arista Records. He founded J Records. Everybody, man. He was everybody's boss. He was like, I don't even know, how far back do we go? You go back to the 60s, all the way up to modern times, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, everybody, Rihanna, everybody, Kelly Clarkson. Clive Davis is like the godfather of every pop song that you've heard in American music radio for the past 70 years, maybe. Happy birthday to you, Clive Davis. Born on this day in 1942, Craig T. Nelson, Coach. That's right, Coach. I used to love Coach. Craig T. Nelson, Coach Hayden Fry. He played a football coach, played a college football coach. Well, the show was called Coach. That would make sense. Craig T. Nelson celebrating a birthday today. Still alive, 1944. Good for him. He's got plenty of years left, 1944. Born on this day in 1964, a guy who I both love and am really irritated by to no end. David Cross. David Cross, ladies and gentlemen, one half of Mr. Show, writing partner and comedy partner of the great Bob Odenkirk. David Cross was one of my favorite characters on one of my all-time favorite shows, Arrested Development. He played Tobias Funke. The never nude. Tobias was a never nude. He would never be nude. He showered in like cut off blue jeans, like hot pants blue jeans, because he was a never nude. And it's a very serious affliction. Never nudes. I love David Cross. It's his birthday. What I don't like about David Cross is that he's so sanctimonious. He was a very funny stand-up comedian, and he's a very funny actor. He's a very funny comedic actor. He's a funny guy, but oh my God, is he preachy and sanctimonious. I hate when comedians get on this whole, here's what you're doing wrong. You know what? David Cross, who is like he's like Mr. Me Too. He's like Mr. Hollywood, far left, get up on his pedestal and preach down and tell us all what we're doing wrong. David Cross used to have an absolutely hysterical bit where he made fun of retarded kids for like 10 minutes. It was like a 10-minute bit where he just in the 90s where he just made fun of retarded kids. I, I don't know if he made fun. I don't know if making fun of them is actually the proper way, but he imitated them. He imitated retarded kids for like 10 minutes in this bit, and it was really funny. And now here he is. He's like, oh, he's one of these guys. Like, oh, that's comedians shouldn't be that way. Comedians should just do their comedy. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, didn't work. Go rework it. But don't come back 20 years later after doing something that a lot of people were offended by and a lot of people thought was offensive, and then act like you're somehow better than all of us. Whatever. Happy birthday, David Cross. I still like you. I still think you're funny. Born on this day in 1965. 1965. I like to point this one out to my son whenever my son calls me old. Born on this day in 1965, Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. was born on this day in 1965. Whenever my son calls me old, I always point out that I am younger than both Iron Man and Ant-Man. So you can stick it. And I'm younger than Samuel L. Jackson, who plays the guy with the patch. But my kid knows he's old. But yeah, he even argued with me. You're not younger than Iron Man. Yeah, I am. And we had to pull it up. And I'm like, see, I'm a lot younger than Iron Man. You're not younger than Ant-Man. Paul Rudd is younger than you. No, he's not. He's like 9 months older than me. So there you go. So I have that. How interesting is Robert Downey Jr.? Robert Downey Jr., one of the greatest third acts in the history of American celebrity. Robert Downey Jr. was a child star. He did a lot of things in his teens and in his early teens. His father, Robert Downey, was an experimental film director, and his son was cast. Robert Downey Jr. was cast in a lot of his movies, going back to the 70s and then into the 80s. And then his second act was not as a child star, but as a young adult star, a member of the Brat Pack and all of that kind of stuff. And really, that's best classified as his danger years, the Robert Downey Jr. years, where Robert Downey Jr. was the biggest F up in Hollywood. And if you remember the time, he wasn't just the biggest F up in Hollywood, he was like the biggest F up in Hollywood history. I mean, short of killing somebody, Robert Downey Jr. was constantly getting arrested. He was losing acting jobs. Lindsay Lohan, we look at Lindsay Lohan and like, oh, she'll never come back. Yes, she will. Yes, she will. I know it's been a few years, but just give it a little bit of time because America loves a third act. Robert Downey Jr.'s third act is the biggest and most successful of his entire career. He is bigger now. He is an A-list star. And 20-something years ago, Robert Downey Jr. was a national punchline. He was not somebody that was hireable. He was a tremendous actor. I mean, people always said, boy, that dude can really act. He was nominated for Chaplin. He was so good as Charlie Chaplin, and most people say that he should have. He had troubles. People didn't like him. He was a troubled guy, so it didn't really do him much service as far as him having great acting roles. But man, Robert Downey Jr., did he bounce back bigger than ever. Born on this day in 1973, David Blaine. Who cares? He's a magician. I don't like magicians. I don't like magicians any more than I like squirrels or giraffes. They are three things that I just find completely reprehensible. You're a con man. It's not magic. Stop lying. It's a trick. No, it's magic. It's a trick. Oh, I call it an illusion. No, it's a trick. It's a con. Now tell me how it's done. David Blaine. Street magic. Homeless guy doing magic. Now he's a billionaire. Jamie Lynn Spears was born on this day in 1991. That's Britney's less everything. She's Britney Spears' less everything sister. She's not as attractive. She's not as talented. She's not as interesting. She's just Jamie Lynn Spears. Deaths on this day. We talked about this in 1968. Martin Luther King was assassinated on this day in Memphis, Tennessee. Martin Luther King. This is an interesting one. I'd have to discuss that. Maybe we need a couple of years for this. And I'll give you an example. Okay, so like when I was growing up, all Irish Catholic homes had a picture of the Pope and a picture of Kennedy. Somewhere there was a picture. If you were Irish Catholic, there was a picture of John F. Kennedy and a picture of the Pope in the house somewhere. It's just a thing that happened. It came with Irish Catholic homes, I think. In black homes, there was always a picture of Martin Luther King somewhere. That's it. I think it came when a black family bought a home. Here you go. Here's your home. Here's your keys. Here's your picture of Martin Luther King. Put it up somewhere prominent. They were everywhere. Has Martin Luther King been passed by Obama in the black community as far as like the most iconic black American of all time? That's interesting. I wonder. I'm not black. I don't know. I don't own a home. But there you go. So there, this day, Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968. Also, dead on this day in 2013, Roger Ebert, American journalist, critic, screenwriter, and a guy who yelled at me once. Yeah, Roger Ebert yelled at me once. I didn't like Roger Ebert. And, oh, dare you? He's so brave with his disease. Yeah, he was. He had a problem, and he was brave, and he lived for a bunch of years, and it was very sad because you don't want to see that happen to anybody. But that doesn't mean when he was alive, he wasn't an a-hole, and he was an a-hole to me. Here's the story. So I was producing for the morning show, and the nighttime show at the station I worked at had this bit where they would go through celebrities' garbage, and apparently they hit Roger Ebert's garbage can. And they pulled out all of this stuff, and then they bring it back into the studio, and then they go through a celebrity garbage. It was celebrity garbage. Stupid shock jock show, whatever. Roger Ebert got so upset that this show had gone through his garbage on the air the night before, and we were scheduled to have him on. Just pre-scheduled. It had nothing to do with them raiding his garbage can. So I called him in the morning to get him ready. I was like, "Hi, Mr. Ebert, it's Pugs from the Loop. I was wondering if you were ready. Do you need any time? We're going to do this in about 10 minutes. Just wanted to give you a heads up." I don't know who you people think you are, but if you think that I am coming on that MFing station ever again, you are sorely mistaken. Oh, well, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Ebert. I'm what did something happen? Is there anything that I can do? I'd certainly be. Don't you even pretend you don't know what happened. I'm like, sir, I don't know what happened because we didn't listen to the night show. We were the morning show. We didn't know what happened the night before. Now, your station sent some thugs over to my garbage cans, and and as soon as he got that far, I went, "Oh, goddamn. Oh, man." It's the night show. Liz Wild, who actually years later would come and work with us at 105.3 in Dallas here, the Liz Wild show. And I'm like, Sam the Mailman in the gang, and I'm like, oh, God. Oh, they did it. They just got me screwed up. And he's like, and he read me the riot act. Blah, 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 Roger Ebert. And I'm like, well, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Ebert. Will reschedule you. Yeah, don't you tell me, because you always try to see if you could get, it's habit, Well, don't you try to I will never do this radio station again. In fact, I'm going to call. And then he starts throwing out the names of our general manager and stuff, who apparently he knew from fancy cocktail parties. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Now, I didn't care that Roger Ebert was going to go to the general manager of the station at the time. I didn't give a shit about that. I mean, it wasn't our show. We didn't do it. What I cared about was now I had to walk into the studio and tell my morning show host, who was not a morning guy, he didn't take bad news very good before noon. I had to go there and tell me he can't, that Roger Ebert wasn't coming on, and that we had to just scramble and do something else instead. It was not good. To my host credit, he was cool. And then the segment became, because this is how great radio happens, the segment became, why did Roger Ebert cancel? And that segment probably was better than Roger Ebert actually appealing. So on this day in 2013, Roger Ebert died, and he yelled at me once on the phone. All right, let's get into all the things that are actually trending today. The big news of the day. Okay, so a couple of shootings occurred over the weekend. Still trending. Sacramento, there was a shooting Unprecedented shooting in Sacramento kills 6, injures 12. So here's apparently what happened in the Bar District of Sacramento. Well, here, we'll pull it up. We got some video of it. We'll show you because, everything gets captured on video these days. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah. So a fight broke out at closing time. Around here's now you know how I do this, right? Like, so I compartmentalize these things. I have the one compartment for just crime, just gunplay crime between people who are pissed off and happen to have a firearm at the time of being pissed off. And then the other kind is my wife left me. I hate the president. This country's going to hell. I've got all these guns in my car, and when the bar's let out, I'm going to just mow everybody down while they're waiting for valet service. That's the other one. That one is far more distressing to me. That one, because you can't understand it. You're just like, well, everybody's pissed off. Why, how easy is it to just the former, guy who has a gun and he's in a fight or something, that I kind of get. That's just as distressing, but it's not as freaky. Doesn't freak me out. So what it's looking like is the Sacramento shooting was gang related in some way. So here we have some video. A fight broke out just before the shooting occurred, and they believe it's linked. Here we go. We'll watch it. We'll get to see this fight was happening here in the Bar District of Sacramento on Saturday night. Here we go. Listen to that, though. Listen to that. Listen to that. It's like spraying. All right, and that's pretty much it. So the police, they have nobody in custody. It's a terrible, terrible thing. But hey, this happens at house parties all the time, right? I mean, maybe not to this extent. Maybe not 6 injured, 12 or 6 killed, 12 injured, but there we go. That was Sacramento on Saturday night. Also, here in Dallas, we had one. Yeah, we had two. This one in Dallas also seems to fall into the category of a guy who isn't pissed off at the government or, representing a religion or anything like that. This one in Dallas, horrific Dallas concert shooting leaves 1 dead and 11 injured. So there was this concert that was happening in Oak Cliff on Saturday night. It was a hip-hop show. A shooting at an outdoor music festival in Southeast Dallas over the weekend has left 1 man dead and 11 others injured, including 3 kids. Oh, jeez. Although it happened at midnight at a hip-hop show. Maybe I'm just scared suburban white guy, but I wouldn't be out at a hip-hop show with my kid at midnight. I wouldn't. We go home 8, 9 o'clock. Come on, let's go. Let's get out of here. Especially an event like this, which, had been going on all day. So, people be drinking and they'd be having fun and all that kind of stuff. And then by midnight, just after midnight on Sunday, police responded to a call for shots fired at an open field in Oak Cliff, where the second annual Epic Easter Bike Out and Field Party, hosted by Bossman Bubba, was taking place. Upon arrival, officers discovered Keelan Dewan Gilmore, 26, lying near the stage, having suffered a gunshot wound to the head. Gilmore was pronounced dead at the scene. According to police interviews, the shooting was prompted when a fight broke out among a group of concert goers during the melee. During the melee, 1 man fired his gun in the air, and then another turned his weapon on the crowd of about 2,000 in attendance, including children, firing indiscriminately and sending people fleeing, creating a stampede. Everyone was running, Lula Smith, who attended the event with her daughter, told WFAA. It was so jam-packed right here. You couldn't hear in or out, or you couldn't get in or out. When I got to my car, somebody was shooting. I rolled down my window and I heard shots. As of Monday morning, no arrests have been made as police continue to investigate. So developing ... Again, certainly doesn't explain or make better any of this, but I think you people are the same way, right? I mean, don't we get a little bit more freaked out when it's just like some guy screaming Allah Akbar in a shopping mall, or some middle-aged white guy in Las Vegas who doesn't like country music or whatever his problem was, right? I mean, those are far more distressing. They're more psychically wounding, because there is nothing that you can relate to in that situation. In the other situations, it's not necessarily that we relate to them, but we go, oh yeah, well, there's let's be honest, hip hop concerts, drinking all day long, um prevalence of guns in American society, people angry, uh, maybe some members of, we'll call them rival organizations that don't appreciate another. So I mean, I understand that. That's crime. That's terrible crime, and it's been happening forever. It's the other stuff that I worry about. So it looks like both of these shootings fall into the just tragic crime category, not terror, not domestic terrorism, which is what the other thing definitely is. I am doing this to kill innocent people indiscriminately in order to cause terror among the populace. South Lake is also trending, or at least it was early this morning, because this is another stupid situation. South Lake, for people who are unaware outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area, South Lake is a very foofy, very, very foofy suburb. A lot of rich people, a lot of pro athletes, a lot of Dallas Cowboys live in South Lake, a lot of Texas Rangers, it's very nice. Mansions, mansions, mansions. Not to be confused with the area where we do this show from, which is where I squat rent-free. This is Highland Park. Highland Park is different. Highland Park is old money. Highland Park is where the owners of the Dallas Cowboys and the Texas Rangers and all those, the owners of the sports franchises live in Highland Park. The guys who play for them, they live in South Lake. Still very nice, very beautiful area. South Lake police have arrested a man for deadly conduct in connection with a road rage incident. South Lake, Texas, new money. Still big money, but still new money. This is old money. Highland Park is old money. South Lake police arrested Adrian Hill, 44 years old, for deadly conduct in connection with a road rage incident last night that stemmed from a reported hit-and-run accident. Adrian Hill was arrested by South Lake police just before 9 p.m. last night. Officers were dispatched to the 200 block of Stockton Drive after a woman reported that her vehicle was struck by a dark-colored SUV while she and her family were stopped at a traffic light at the intersection of Kirkwood Boulevard and State Highway 114. So 114 right there, right, runs right through South Lake. So here's basically what happened, because I read the story. Oh, did you? Did you read the story? You're not just going to freeball it? No, I read the story. All right, so these people were at a stoplight, and car, you ever have this where you're at the stoplight and you're looking in your rearview mirror and you see a car approaching and you're like, that car's not going to stop. Is that car going to stop? Come on, is that car going to, oh, gee! And then, so that's what happened. So the SUV slams into the back of the car at the stoplight and then basically just goes around them and speeds off. Husband and wife were in the car that were hit. The husband is driving and he just flips out and he decides he's going to chase this car that hit him. He lost track of the car. The car got away, the car that hit him. But he then started driving around the area. He found two people in a black SUV that were just pulling into their driveway. The two people in the black SUV exit their black SUV when the guy who got hit jumps out with his gun, waving it and demanding, all kinds of things. Yeah, I'm out for this, blah, blah, blah. A fight breaks out between the driver of the black SUV and the gun-wielding Adrian Hill, who was hit and the guy arrested. And a couple of injuries are sustained, and then the police show up. The police show up at the place, and the police arrest Adrian Hill, the guy who got hit, the guy who was, jumped out of his car with a gun. It was later determined that the people that Adrian Hill pulled the gun on and believed were the ones that hit him were not the ones that hit him. It wasn't them. They weren't there. They weren't in the area. Police said, it's not them. Stop it. So this idiot, this South Lake idiot who took justice into his own hands, pulled a gun and was threatening to kill people who were probably just out picking up a pizza on a Sunday night. But he jumps out and he's like, oh, I'm going to kill you. Look at what you did. And they're like, what? What do you mean? And then a fight breaks out. This could have ended really badly. But instead, and yeah, he's an idiot. I know he got hit. He was the victim of a hit and run, but you're an idiot. When he admittedly lost track of the vehicle. And it's not like there's only one black SUV out there. You can probably look out on any road that you see right now, and you'll see within the next 30 seconds over or under 4 black SUVs. It's a very common car. So there you go. So that guy got arrested there in South Lake, and that's why that incident was trending. At least it was trending locally on the local MSM. What else do we have here? Big news internationally. Bucha. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Bucha, which is in Oblast in the Ukraine, which means city, township, area. A mass grave has been discovered in the Ukrainian city of Bucha. Hundreds of citizens, including men, women, and children of all ages, are inside this mass grave. And it's being pinned on the Russians. Ukrainians didn't kill their own citizens. These are people who lived in the city of Bucha, and it was first discovered by satellite photos. Satellite photos showed a mass grave. I believe this was late last week. And then investigations on the ground found it. They determined that right in the middle of the city, there is this mass grave, and there are hundreds of citizens, as I said, including men, women, and children. And not just handicapped people, old people. It looks like they were just massacred. The Russian army came in and just massacred all of these citizens. So that has sort of ramped up the international outrage against Putin. Even the people who were, I don't know. We'll see if Tucker is still defending him. We don't know. All right, here's what'll happen. But Tucker's trending too. I wasn't going to go into it, but Tucker is trending because Kremlin media, the Kremlin news sources, they're playing like Tucker clips for the people in Russia to show them, see, even the Americans are on our side, which is not good. So we'll see. But what Tucker will probably say is that it's phony, right? Maybe he'll go all QAnon on it, or I don't know. Maybe he'll avoid it altogether. He may be. The Fox News brass has been saying we need to get him to back off of this, Putin love stuff that he's been doing, because it's becoming more and more clear that Putin is desperate. Putin is getting his ass kicked. Putin's army is not doing what Putin thought his army could do, and he's embarrassed on a global stage. And who knows what a madman. He's a crazy dude. He's a crazy, power-hungry guy. He's not like, he's not crazy like that, although inside he's probably crazy like that. But he does sort of present himself to be a little bit more stoic and a little bit more reserved. But we can see now by his actions and the way that he is conducting, especially these more recent stages of the war, he seems to be getting desperate. And he has nuclear weapons. And it's just like, come on, what are we going to do? War criminal. There you go. See, in conjunction with this, war criminal is also trending right now. President Biden this morning, a quote now from President Biden this morning. You may remember I got criticized for calling Putin a war criminal. Well, the truth of the matter is you saw what happened in Bucha. He is a war criminal. President Biden just now. It says, well, just now was a couple hours ago at this point. So, what's the distinction? What's the big deal with Putin being considered a war criminal? Well, I'll tell you, that means that now there's a whole other aspect to this incursion into sovereign Ukrainian lands. It used to be that he's just going in there, we'll let them work it out, we'll see what happens. Either way, however it shakes out, we don't really have to get involved because it's not our business, it's not happening in our neighborhood. But now, with the war criminal thing and the mass graves and all of these new details coming out about how Putin is conducting the war, it's to a point where no matter how this thing, when all the dust settles from this, there's going to be some accounting for what you can't have someone in Europe who is slaughtering and massacring innocent civilians. I mean, there is some degree of a civilized society there in Europe. This isn't happening in places that are easily, oh, who cares? Who cares? That's Southeast. Who cares? That's the jungles of Central America. Who cares? That's the middle of Africa. Nah, this is Europe. This is Europe. And people, for better or worse, I'm just saying how it is. I'm not saying that I agree with it, but it's Europe. And Europe's going to be like, yeah, we can't have this. This can't happen. So there has been tittering, and we've been sort of incrementally moving towards having the conversation of replacing Putin. Regime change is the word. So war criminal. You got the president of the United States. You got the theoretical leader of the free world now calling Vladimir Putin a war criminal and pointing to the recent discoveries of atrocities and massacres there against innocent civilians in Bucha. So that's a big deal. That is a big deal. Developing ... as they say. NCAA is trending because tonight is the big NCAA basketball championship. The Kansas Jayhawks taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels. I went over to, I watched the Duke North Carolina game with E and Dom. Young E is Dom. Was over there watching the game with them on Saturday. E had an interesting observation that I didn't notice. I went, huh. Every team in the Final Four had blue as their color. Every team was blue. Villanova, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas. They all have the color blue. That's it. That's my hot take. That's all I got on the NCAA championship. Okay, I'll give you a prediction. Here's my prediction, and here's why it's my prediction. Kansas. I want Kansas to win. Here's why I want Kansas to win. Because remember Eric Church? He canceled on all those good people down there in San Antonio who wanted to go see his concert on Saturday night. And Eric Church was like, yeah, I'm canceling the concert. Sorry if you had plans for the past 4 or 5 months to come see me in concert. Maybe some of you were driving from, the middle of nowhere, Texas. Maybe some of you got hotel rooms in San Antonio. Maybe some of you had, really big plans for this. But I'm a selfish piece of shit. So here's the deal. I'm going to go. I'm going to cancel the show. Screw you people. I'm going to go and I'm going to watch North Carolina Duke on Saturday night instead. Okay, thanks, people. Peace out. Jesus loves you, or whatever the hell it is, that kind of bullshit. So they won. So his team won. So he canceled and his team won. And now you got to believe he's going to be at the national championship game tonight. And I want him to lose. I want North Carolina to lose. I want them to come so close and then lose. That's why I'm rooting for Kansas. I really don't have a dog in that fight. I don't care about either of those two teams. But here's what I care about. I care about Eric Church being as disappointed to some degree as the people that he screwed over at his San Antonio concert this Saturday. The Grammys are trending. Why are the Grammys trending? Grammys are trending because I didn't watch them. That's not why they're trending. No, I know. I recorded them, right? Just in case there was something like really crazy that happened, like what happened at the Academy Awards last week. Some of my greatest memories have been actually going to the Grammys and having that whole experience. But back then I actually knew and was familiar with the people who were nominated. I have no idea what is happening at the Grammys. I don't recognize any of this stuff. When Justin Bieber is the most recognizable music star, it's like, what? I couldn't even name a Justin Bieber song. Although my 12-year-old son is probably gonna get me over on Team Bieber because because Justin Bieber to me is always going to be that 15-year-old little snot who was on YouTube, who only got famous because he was on YouTube, which is a stupid way of looking at it, because any way talent gets discovered, it's still talent that's getting discovered. So I shouldn't blame him for that. But he was always like this bubblegum, pop kid. And now I got a 12-year-old, and my 12-year-old is like, no, Dad, you're wrong about Justin Bieber. He's actually really good. And he has stuck around. Like, he wasn't just disposable. Like, if he was truly just some silly pop kid that was discovered off of YouTube and he was made a star because 15-year-old girls thought he was dreamy, that's one thing. But he has stuck around. He has done like the Justin Timberlake thing, where now we're a decade into his career and he's still making relevant music. Not for me, but I'm an old white guy. But you're supposed to understand, he's not making it for me. Relevant music means making music for the people who are, well, relevant. And I'm not relevant at my age. I am not pushing the popular culture in any direction. I'm just sitting here at noon every day, Monday through Friday, commenting on it. So my kid, who is not an idiot, my kid is not an idiot. I mean, he loves the Ramones, he loves the Clash, he loves the Beatles. He's very open minded. He loves music. His new favorite song is "I Don't Like Mondays" by the Boomtown Rats. He discovered that song and he knows all the words to it. He's like, listen to the way this song goes one direction and then another direction. Like, he doesn't just like music because, oh, it's catchy. No, he can tell you why he likes a song, why it's different, why it's interesting to him. So when he tells me that, "No, Dad, you're wrong about Justin Bieber," he's 12. And I'm like, okay, all right, you know what? Maybe you're right. So, but I didn't watch the Grammys. I don't know. Did they do like Will Smith stuff? Did anybody, what was the big deal about the Grammys? Was there anything? I don't know. It's nothing means you're old quite like looking at the Grammys and going, nah. Elon Musk is trending is the word I'm looking for. Elon Musk is trending today. Why? Because Elon Musk is now the largest single share owner of Twitter. Oh God. Jeez. Elon Musk has bought 9.2% of Twitter, making him the largest single shareholder of the company, which means that Elon Musk is now in charge of Twitter. Elon Musk, and it's interesting because just a couple of weeks ago, I follow Elon, and I'm not a fan of Elon. I'm intrigued by Elon. I find him to be he's an interesting guy. Oh, really? You think he's an interesting guy? Boy, that's such an original. You're one of the few. No, he truly is. He truly is an exceptionally fascinating individual. He's the richest man in the world. And he didn't just inherit the money and then invest the money in other good ideas. He did it. I mean, he did it. Elon Musk earned his own money. Elon Musk, created I don't think it was PayPal. Like, he made his first 10 billion or 10 million or whatever. He created a payment system. And I don't think it's PayPal, but it's something like that in the early days of the internet when he was still a college student. So boom, right out of the box, he's like a multimillionaire. And then, of course, you got Tesla, you got SpaceX, you got the Boring Company. I mean, he's kind of an eccentric, crazy genius with all of these ideas, and he's making a lot of money. He's, people, no kidding. People compare him to Edison. They say that he is a modern mashup of Einstein, Edison, and J.P. Rockefeller, or whoever that is. By the way, was Edison a rich guy? Like was Edison, like, I'm certain that Thomas Edison was wealthy, but was he like super wealthy? Like in 1915, where people like, Edison's the richest guy in the world because he invented electricity. He didn't invent electricity. He figured out a way to harness it. That's true. I don't know. So he bought a whole bunch of Twitter, which is interesting because just a couple of weeks ago, he was on Twitter saying, should I start my own social media platform? And then he did his poll. He's got like 80 million Twitter followers. I think he's got like more Twitter followers than anybody else. So instead of creating his own social media platform, Musk or whatever, and it's such a weird name, right? It's like a space alien name, Elon Musk. That doesn't track. That's I mean, I guess it does for crazy, eccentric genius. By the way, chariot to the gods. He might be one of these chariot to the gods guys. He might be one of these aliens that were just dropped down to move, the innovation forward. Who knows? I don't know. But he buys Twitter. He didn't buy Twitter. He owns 9.2% of Twitter, making him the largest single shareholder. So We will see. He's been a very outspoken critic of the way Twitter is run. On his own Twitter handle, he says they should do this, they should do that, they should do this. Well, now they're going to do this and they're going to do that and they're going to do because Elon Musk owns 9.2% of Twitter, which is again largest single shareholder. Will C says he wins because we argue about him. We're not on his radar. He's Edison if his father owned an emerald mine. Yeah, he didn't come from that kind of money. I mean, if his father owned an emerald, I know he grew up wealthy in South Africa, but really, I mean, I didn't think that he was like billionaire wealthy. Will C says not being relevant to Justin Bieber doesn't make you irrelevant. Well, it does in the popular culture, Will. You can't deny it. You got to just lean into that. It does. It makes me irrelevant as it pertains to the current popular culture. Will C also says you can't punish the college kids because of Eric Church. They lose their life dream because of some no-name country artist. Well, here's the other problem with Eric Church. I liked Eric Church. To me, he wasn't a no-name country artist. He was probably one of the 3 or 4 that I could rattle off the top of my head that I actually liked. Yes, the North Carolina kids. Yeah, dude. Screw them. They'll be back. North Carolina is one of the most storied franchises, one of the most storied institutions in NCAA basketball history. I don't give a shit. Exactly. I'm sorry. I am going to punish those kids. Let's see what else is trending. So Elon Musk has bought into Twitter. Jack Dorsey is trending also. Jack Dorsey is trending. He is the creator of Twitter. Jack Dorsey was the CEO of Twitter. He stepped down like a year ago. Jack Dorsey is one of these weirdo billionaires who's like into yoga and growing a really long beard and, hanging out in India and, doing all kinds of crazy mountain climbing kind of bullshit that I don't know if it's bullshit. If I was like a multi-billionaire and still young, and by the way, he's handsome. If I was young and handsome and a billionaire, I'd probably do all this nonsense too. Jack Dorsey is trending because he is admitting that he has severe regret over his actions. He believes Jack Dorsey, founder, creator of Twitter, believes that he, quote, damaged the internet, that he was a part of all of the horrible things that occur now on the internet, and he has great regret over that. He also, he's got a bunch of other companies too, because he's apparently another one of these guys that just comes up with ideas and then they turn into billion-dollar ideas. I am not one of those guys. I'm one of the front end guys. I come up with the ideas. They never turn into billion-dollar ideas. Truth Social. Here we go. So this is the social media run that we've got today trending. Truth Social is trending. That's former President Trump's social media platform. He's been banned from YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So he decided he was going to start his own, social media platform. It's been just a bunch of problems. They've had a whole bunch of problems. He refuses to tweet. Well, I guess they call him truths. He refuses to. He posted once on his own social media platform that said "big things coming," and that was it. Something like that. He said something else too. I said stay tuned. I don't know what it is, but he's been criticized for not posting or anything on his site, and people, I've still not been accepted. I tried to sign up for Truth Social, and they have not accepted me yet. A lot of people are saying that for something that is supposed to be a free speech website, it's not really free speech at all. It is propaganda, and you have to believe one thing and that's it. And if anything that you post on there strays from what they want you to be saying, then you get banned. Roger Stone, no less a character than Roger Stone, is railing about Truth Social today because apparently he was putting time out on Truth Social. So now Roger Stone is all about, this is not free speech. All I said was that we should kill all the Muslims. Or he said something against Muslims. So they put him in time out. Now Roger Stone's angry. But none of those are the reasons why Truth Social is trending right now. Truth Social is trending because 2 key senior execs have walked out of Truth Social after troubled app launch. 2 of their tech guys two of their top tech guys, senior, executives at Truth Social have today tendered their resignation, saying that this is a big cluster F and we are gonzo. Secret Service is trending. Why is the Secret Service trending? Oh boy, here's why. Because it's going around. It is this is some politically divisive stuff, but we'll try and weigh it out even-handedly, right? So it has been revealed that the Secret Service is paying $30,000 a month to rent a mansion in Malibu in order to protect Hunter Biden. Who? Hunter Biden. Oh my God! Not since who's every president, every president has a ne'er-do-well relative, right? I mean, it's okay. I don't want to get in. Let's not get politically divisive, but they all do. Whether it's Billy Carter or Billy Clinton. No, not Billy Clinton. Who's Roger Clinton? They all have like some ne'er-do-well that crops up that does stupid shit, and the media jumps on it. But so Hunter Biden has a place. He lives in Malibu, California. And the Secret Service, they have to protect him because he's the immediate family of the President of the United States, and all immediate family members of the President of the United States get round-the-clock Secret Service protection. So the Secret Service, they have to rent a place somewhere near, not even somewhere near, like next door or on the same block or whatever, somewhere in very close proximity to the home of the subject they're guarding. So the Secret Service is now, they've entered into an agreement. They are renting a $30,000 a month Malibu mansion to protect Hunter Biden. Now, this is trending for two reasons. One, because outrage culture. What? How dare they do that for Hunter Biden? And look, let's be honest. Hunter Biden's a dirtbag. Don't fall into your political circles. Don't just go back. How dare you say that about? No, Hunter Biden is a dirtbag. He is a crack-smoking, prostitute-loving ne'er-do-well. Those are all facts. Those are, no matter what side of the political spectrum you fall on, you cannot deny the facts. He's an admitted drug addict. I mean, I'm clean now and all that. I mean, there are videos out there of him smoking crack and partying and being a complete moron. So, look. Hunter Biden is a degenerate. That's all I'm going to say. He's a degenerate. But the other reason that this is trending is because just as many people who are like, why are we paying that much to protect a degenerate son of the president? Well, one, we're paying that much because we have to protect the degenerate or not. He is the son of the president of the United States, and that just comes with the job. You protect the immediate family. But I say it's also trending because people are pointing out that you're getting all upset that $30,000 is being spent a month to protect Hunter Biden. And here are the numbers. $20,000 a month was spent renting a place to protect Don Jr. So that's $10,000 less. So Hunter Biden, $30,000, and Don Jr., they paid $20,000 on rent per month to protect Don Jr. Oh, but they also paid $25,000 a month to protect Ivanka and Jared, $15,000 a month to protect Eric, and $10,000 a month to protect Tiffany, for a total of over $100,000 per month. That includes all their international travel. Hunter Biden at least has the good sense to just stay put. He's not like gallivanting around the globe. But Trump's kids did. They spent over $100,000 per month protecting the Trump kids. But, selective persecution. They're going to go nuts on because Hunter Biden, because Fox News, because whatever. Hunter Biden is a dirtbag, but is he any more of a... Oh, I'm saying he's not any more of a dirtbag. Yes, I've seen the video of Hunter Biden shirtless smoking crack, but I've also seen a shit ton of videos of Don Jr. coked out of his mind in public on television, and yeah, he's coked out of his mind, man. He's obviously a cocaine head. So, look, like I said, all presidents have degenerates in their family. And it's unfortunately, if they're in their immediate family, that we, the taxpayer, have to take care of them because God forbid somebody try and abduct the child of a president and then hold that over the president's head, have him make decisions that are going to be bad for the country. That's the argument, right? They cannot be targets. Yeah, President of the United States kid gets kidnapped. That could have really, really terrible implications for the president, for the nation. But again, Hunter Biden is a degenerate. But let's not open that can of worms where we start talking about degenerate children of presidents, okay? Hope Solo is trending. Hope Solo was trending last week. We talked about her a little bit. Hope Solo, the former goalkeeper for the United States women's national soccer team, gold medalist, multi-time gold medalist. God, she's an attractive woman. Every time I see Hope Solo, I go, yeah, she's an attractive woman. And also, she's a mess. Hope Solo is a mess and has been a mess for years. She's been arrested a bunch of times for like drunken, crazy behavior, domestic battery, all these kinds of things. She's 40 years old. She's married to a former NFL player, Jeremy Stevens. She's obviously never trained for anything outside of being a really good women's soccer goalie because she has not transitioned to civilian life very well. She's had some difficulty. And last week she was arrested in North Carolina, driving while intoxicated and child abuse charges. She was driving while intoxicated with her 2 kids in the car. At least that's how the story was unfurled last week. I believe it popped up at the end of the show, and so I didn't have a good, I didn't really dive into it much. But more details are coming out now, and the details are, boy, they are really troubling. They really do speak to somebody whose life is spiraling out of control. Again, she's a multi-time gold medalist. She's 40 years old and still beautiful. She's married to a former NFL player. They seem to have a very nice life there in North Carolina. They have 2 young kids, adorable little kids. Saw the pictures of them, which I didn't feel good about. I'm like, I shouldn't know what these kids look like, given the parameters of why I know what they look like. But here's what happened. She was in a parking lot of a shopping center, I don't know, like a Walmart or a Target or whatever. She was in the parking lot. She was parked, and her kids were crying in the back seat of the car. They were strapped in and all that. And a shopper who was walking to their car noticed the crying children in the car and then looked and saw the mom crashed out unconscious in the front seat of the car. That was Hope Solo. So she had passed out. She had fallen asleep. The kids are crying. They're in a parked car. The car was running too. They said the car was running, and what was that about? Like she just went, like she just crashed out. Police were called for child endangerment, and she was woken up and, whatever. She was arrested, and then she resisted arrest, and now there's a resisting arrest charge. She was drunk. She had a high. This was like in the middle of the afternoon too, and she's shopping with her kid, and she's shit-faced. So shit-faced that she passes out. Now, maybe there were drugs involved, right? Like maybe she's addicted. She's an athlete. She probably had injuries. Maybe she's got an addiction problem to some kind of a painkiller or an opioid addiction or something like that. Hey, it happens. But those are the details. The details are even more shocking and, depict a much sadder kind of existence for the once American hero, Hope Solo, with such a cool name too. That's such a cool name, Hope Solo. That's awesome. Also, she has put out a statement saying that her children are fine. Her children are her life. The story has been overblown, and she, can you guess the rest? Looks forward to her day in court where she will be able to defend herself properly. So there you have it. That's what's going on with Hope Solo. Also this weekend, Tony Rock is trending. Tony Rock. Do you know Tony Rock? We had Tony Rock on our show a couple of times. He is the little brother of Chris Rock. He is also a stand-up comedian. And although here we are a week and a day after the slap, Chris Rock hasn't said anything substantial about the slap that occurred at the Oscars 1 week ago last night. But Tony Rock sure is. Tony Rock is selling out shows, and good for him, man. Tony Rock is on stage. He's doing bits now already about the slap. And here we've got some for you. Let's show you what Tony Rock's current set is looking like. Where is it? There it is. Hold on, we'll pull this up. So this is what Tony Rock is getting into in concert these days. Hold up. Okay. All right. Yeah, this is the clean one. By clean, I mean the one that is a better video. Yes, this is it. Okay, here you go. Tony Rock this weekend on his brother Chris.
If I say anything tonight, anybody got a fucking problem with? You got one motherfucking option what you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. Because if you think you're going to walk up on this stage, this ain't the motherfucking Oscars. And if you walk your ass up here, you ain't nominated for shit with these motherfucking hands. Oh, we don't pop the rest of the year, nigga. Every time you see me do a show, pop. I didn't want to start the show like that. You want to hit my motherfucking brother? Because your bitch gave you a side eye? Oh, it's a lot of rock brothers. Y'all ain't know it's a lot of rock brothers. It's 10 of us, motherfucker. You got to see all the rock brothers. You gonna be like, I didn't even know that nigga was a rock brother. That nigga a rock brother? That's a rock brother? I ain't gonna start the show like that, but I just wanna let y'all know that shit ain't gonna ride. That shit ain't gonna ride, nigga. I don't got a lot of shit to lose, nigga. Some more gonna have me on the tour regardless. Y'all might never see me on TV again, but. Now with that said, Raleigh, how y'all doing?
All right, there you go. That's oh wait, what's this?
You got one motherfucking option, but you.
Yeah, so he's got he's making something out of it. Tony Rock, see Tony Rock, he's talking, he's doing stuff. Will says real tough guy. I hear he is. Will, I know that's because as soon as this happened. I remember a lot of the people were tweeting stuff about how he wouldn't try that with Tony Rock. He wouldn't try that with Tony Rock. And so I asked a friend of mine who's a comedian who knows Tony Rock, who has toured with Tony Rock. And I've had him in studio. First of all, he's a lot bigger than Chris Rock. He's not, and he's a lot younger than Chris Rock. But yeah, somebody said that no, Tony Rock is tough. Tony Rock would have fought back. So I don't know, real tough guy. I don't know. We're talking about Will Smith, right? What we do know is that Chris Rock is not a tough guy. Chris Rock has never presented himself as such, but Tony Rock's entire brand and image is a little bit more hardcore than Chris Rock's, certainly. So Will says his skin is too soft, not intimidating, tough for a comedian. Yeah, maybe that's it. Tough for a comedian. I don't know. But Tony Rock is a different animal than Chris Rock. You can tell by his stand-up style. Chris Rock is mainstream, and white suburban dads love Chris Rock. Tony Rock is not really well known in that demo, but Tony Rock does have a fairly significant following in the hip hop world. He's more in that. He tours as an opener for a lot of hip hop acts and stuff like that. So his rep, I'll put it that way. His rep is that. Will Smith probably wouldn't have done that to Tony Rock because of, image and brand and whatever it is that is known about him. Let's see here. What else is happening? Oh boy. Okay. Why not? Let's get into it. There was one thing that occurred. Sorry. We got to do this one. Will Smith is also trending, and we won't spend a lot of time on this, but Will Smith is trending because, here we are, as I said, a week and a day later. Things are not going well for Will Smith. Apparently the family is not doing so great. There's a lot a lot of quiet in that house. There's not a lot of discussions. There's not a lot of joy. They're not getting jiggy much these days at the Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith compound. At least that's what reports are saying. Both have kind of hidden themselves away from public for the past week. On Friday, the Academy announced that they had accepted Will Smith's resignation. Will Smith is no longer a member of the Film Academy, the group that runs the Oscars. In order to vote, in order to be nominated and all that stuff, you have to be a member of the Academy. You have to join if you're an actor or whatever. So he's resigned from the Academy. People said that he was resigned from the Academy because they were about to kick him out of the Academy. So, they always do that. We'll give you an opportunity to resign. If you don't resign by 6:00 tonight, then you'll be kicked out. So Will Smith has resigned from the Academy. Will Smith has lost his agent, which is crazy. I mean, it's never in the history of anything has an agent walked away from someone who just won an Oscar. That's when the agent gets to cash in. But yes, his personal agent has left him, and he's also lost deals with, where is it? Here, we'll tell you exactly what it is. He had a movie that was set to go into production, a new movie at Netflix and Sony. That's it. Netflix and Sony have stepped away from their projects with Will Smith a week after he slapped Chris Rock at the Academy Awards. Upcoming projects that Smith expected to complete have now officially been halted as a result of the now infamous slap. The Netflix film Fast and Loose, starring Smith, and Sony's highly anticipated movie Bad Boys 4 have both been scrapped. This according to The Hollywood Reporter. So, I mean, those are big deal things. He's got to take his punishment for a little while. Make no mistake, Will Smith will be back. He will survive this. He might have to lay low for a year or whatever, but he'll be back. He'll be back, and all will be forgotten. Like I said, next year at the Oscars, I still predict that Chris Rock and Will Smith will present an award. or maybe at the MTV Music Awards, they'll come out and they'll present it, or the best slap, or something stupid like that. Yeah, Adam. Sure. Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence got nothing going on but those bad boy checks. So, yeah, Martin Lawrence is probably a little bit upset about all this. But yeah, so there is some financial and career repercussions that Will Smith is now feeling. Speaking of being back, Louis C.K. is trending. Now, I didn't know much about the Grammy Awards last night, but I did know this because this has been trending pretty healthily. Louis C.K. won the Grammy last night for Best Comedy Album. This comes after he was canceled, and I have to tell you, I've never made any bones about it. I love Louis C.K. I like Louis C.K. Personally. He was a frequent guest on our old show. He was one of those guys that would hang out, and he was fun to talk to. And he was one of those celebrities who I genuinely got the impression that he enjoyed us, that it wasn't work for him, that he liked hanging out and shooting the shit, as they say. He once did our show. We were on remote. We were out at the Down Under Pub and Grub, an old bar that used to exist up there in Frisco that I used to hang out at a lot. And then they became clients, and we did a live show there for lunch. And Louis came out to do the lunchtime show, and he sat with us, and we interviewed him, and then he hung out for the rest of the show as he normally does. And then the show ended at like 2 or 3 or whatever the hell the show used to end. And he didn't have a show till 8. So we just hung out with him at the bar. He's like, I don't want to go. He's just going to have a couple of beers, maybe get us something to eat. I'm like, yeah, okay. He was a nice guy. So I like him. And I also believe that he's a genius. And I also believe that he is one of the great stand-up comedians of all time. I believe that the way his mind works, the way that he creates humor is absolutely brilliant. And he did some things. So he did some things. What kind of things did he do? He didn't do Harvey Weinstein things. He didn't rape anybody. He didn't hurt anybody. He has paid the price for what I think were insignificant transgressions. But he was caught up in the middle of the whole Me Too thing, and they were looking for scalps, and he was hot. Boy, oh boy, was he hot. It's estimated that he has lost $40 million and a good chunk of his career momentum due to him asking women if he could masturbate in front of them. That's what he did. That's what he did. He asked. He asked. They all said yes, and he did. And, that's not Harvey Weinstein. And there is a real problem with the way women, especially in the creative arts, had been treated. The casting couch is a very real thing. It's an open secret. It was joked about. It was mentioned. Oh, how'd you get that job? The casting couch? Who did she sleep with to get to the top? Those were all things that we just completely thought were normal. And then suddenly they weren't. And it was pointed out, maybe some of us knew that it was wrong, but we just kind of went with it because why not? Everybody was talking about it. It seems to be a normal thing. And the people who engaged in those kinds of things, the overt, you'll get this job if you sleep with me and all that, they were canceled. Harvey Weinstein took it even further. Harvey Weinstein sounds like he was a pure out rapist, just a guy who was holding women down and locking doors and all of that. Then there are guys, then there are the lessers, the lesser transgressions. The Aziz Ansari is one that I think of. Al Franken is another one that I think of. And yeah, I put Louis C.K. in that group as well. So he won the Grammy. So he was canceled, and now his comedy album, which is great. His new comedy album is fantastic. I'm glad it won because it's supposed to be merit-based, right? And I don't know. I pay attention to a lot of comedy. I'm a big fan of. Nice to see Bo Burnham also won a bunch of Grammys last night. Bo Burnham is fantastic. But yeah, I don't think that what Louis C.K. did is as terrible as how, there it is. I'm looking out my corner and I'm like, oh boy, Adam is going to get involved in this. He's fine, so whatever, who cares what he lost? Well, isn't it important to make note of what he lost when we're talking about what the penalty for such transgression should be? I think it is. That's why we care what he lost. It's not like he just walked away scot-free. And, like I said, he has a sexual peccadillo where he likes to masturbate in front of women. Are we doing this now? Are we now calling out sexual peccadillos? He didn't rape. He didn't drug. He's not Bill Cosby. And in every single instance, he asked the women first. Is it weird? Well, yeah, but sexual peccadillos are weird for people who don't have those peccadillos. Say peccadillos more. I like saying that word. It's a fun word. Now, the complaint against Louis C.K. was that, well, he didn't understand how powerful he was. And when he asked if he could pull his penis out in front of us in the hotel room after the show that we willingly went back to his hotel room with, he didn't fully recognize that if we said no, that, we were afraid that would somehow blow back on our... All right, you're right. And he's addressed that. And he said, you know what? I really didn't think of it in those terms. And for that, I feel terrible. But in his mind, he wasn't forcing anybody to do anything. He just liked doing it. And he'd been doing it for a long time. I mean, Amy Poehler on a podcast a couple of years ago, I was listening to it. She talked about it. She said, yeah, I've seen Louis C.K. do that. It's just kind of a thing. We're comedians, That's he enjoyed that. That was just kind of what he got. That's what he did. So, he, and again, this is the rare instance where one of these people who have been canceled, I have some personal interaction with him, and I don't believe he's a monster. I don't believe he's somebody who should have his entire career taken away from him forever and ever. And another reason why I don't think that is because the world needs him. The world of comedy needs him. He is brilliant. He is up there in the top 5 best comedic minds of our generation. He is a very, very gifted person. And the other thing, people point this out a lot. Like, he got caught up in a time when, white men were just being taken down for being white men. He's not even a white guy. He's as Mexican as he is white. He's Hungarian and Mexican, with a little bit of Irish and Scottish sprinkled in. But his father was born in Mexico and raised in Mexico, and his mother was his father's relatives came over, immigrated to Mexico a couple generations before from Hungary, and then grew up as Mexican citizens. And his grandmother was full blown Mexican, and then he's got red hair though. He's got red hair and light skin, so you just get him dragged up in a white. He's not even fully white. He doesn't even. He talks about this a lot. He's like, yeah, people don't realize that I grew up the majority of my life identifying as Hispanic. It's okay. So, but he got dragged through the mud, and he's back, and Twitter is going nuts. Twitter went nuts. Oh my God. The sanctimonious, holier than thou bullshit artists on Twitter went nuts over this. And it all just made me smile. Good for Louis. All right. Prince is trending. Why is Prince trending? This is cool. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Prince been dead now, 5 years? So the local CBS affiliate in Minneapolis, St. Paul, they discovered in their archives a piece of tape from 1970, I think it was. I don't know. We'll get more on that. 1970. The teachers in Minneapolis went on strike, and the news crew back there in 1970 went to one of the picket lines, and they were interviewing kids. And they interviewed Prince, like an 11-year-old little Prince, about the teachers' strike. And it's funny because, when we think of Prince, those of us who truly appreciate his contributions to culture in general, we think of them, not the modern Prince, because the modern Prince is dead, but we think of, Prince. We think of him being very shy and whispering and never really wanting to look, kind of that whole Michael Jackson kind of thing, where Michael Jackson was more of a, flibberty gibbet gadfly than Prince was. Prince was even more, and I don't say much. That was Prince's whole thing. But here, check this out. We got ourselves a big cutie patootie little 11-year-old Prince, little Prince Rogers Nelson on local TV back in 1970 at 11 years old. So this thing is going here. Let's see here. We'll pull this up. Let's get it back to the beginning. See if I can get the sound up all the way. Yeah, there we go. All right, make that small. Hold on, gang. Hold on. We'll get there. I'll get you there. Takes a minute to do this. There we go. Okay, so here it is. This is the report. It was uncovered over the weekend, and it was on the local news last night in Minneapolis.
Extract the audio. And then
look at him.
We heard his voice.
Are most of the kids in favor of the picketing?
Yeah.
How come?
I think they should get a better education too, cause
it's funny because he makes these. I mean, it's obviously Prince, right? I mean, if you know what Prince looks like, he makes these like facial expressions. Like, it's Prince. Look at that. Look at little Prince.
The audio, and then we heard his voice.
Are most of the kids in favor of the picketing?
Yeah.
How come?
I think they should get a better education too, cause and I think they should get some more money, cause they be working extra hours for us, all that stuff.
Our excitement was palpable, but
we did not get him saying, "I'm Prince Nelson."
Extract the audio.
That's just a little bit more time. Look at him.
Are most of the kids in favor of the picketing?
I never meant to cause you any trouble.
How come?
I think they should get
never
a
meant
better
to
education
cause you
too, cause
any pain.
and I think they should get some more money, cause they be working.
Okay, there he is, little Prince Rogers Nelson. There, they uncovered. That's kind of a cool find. You really had to be paying attention to that, right? Like you had to really be looking at it and go, man, that kid looks like Prince, because if you're just like going through all of this and it's not like there was that and then like another tape, there was probably thousands and thousands of materials that they had gone through for whatever reason. And I'm not entirely sure what reason they went into the archives and were looking for all these things, but to just stumble across that and be like, yeah. All right. So there you go. That's why Prince is trending. April says, breaking, Kanye has just announced that he won't be performing at Coachella. Can you announce that you won't be? Did he say why? Because they weren't going to let him. You know what? I would also like to announce I will not be performing at Coachella, just in case any of you people were thinking about buying tickets to see me do this live stream between, whoever, Doja Cat and Sphincter Gang. I was going to do my live stream on stage at Coachella. I will not be performing at Coachella this year. Ken Burns is trending. Why is Ken Burns trending? It's because tonight debuts the 2-part Ken Burns documentary on Ben Franklin on PBS. So set those DVRs, set those recordings, or just, tune in and watch it live. Like a weirdo. Only weirdos watch actual live network television. Ken Burns, I love Ken Burns. But I'm a documentary dork. You know what? Here's what people always get upset with me when I run into other people who love Ken Burns. Because I always say, I love Ken Burns. Oh, yeah? Oh, what's your favorite one? And then I rattle off my favorite Ken Burns ones, and they go, what about the Civil War? And I go, that one sucked. I hated that. That's my least favorite of all the Ken Burns documentaries. And I don't know if maybe it's because it was too early in his career when he was, just kind of trying to figure out what the Ken Burns vibe and style was going to be. But oh my God, is the Civil War by Ken Burns boring to me. So boring. Ken Burns baseball? Life-changing. Ken Burns baseball, the complete history of the game of baseball, going up until, I don't know, when did he make it? Mid-90s? So from like 1870, a game that was being played during the Civil War, by soldiers in between battles, to, the early leagues, to all of oh my God, Ken Burns baseball is fantastic. Ken Burns draft! All right, fine. First round of the Ken Burns movie draft, documentary draft, we're going with baseball. Baseball! With the second round of the Ken Burns documentary draft, The Roosevelts. Have you ever seen The Roosevelts? The Ken Burns documentary on The Roosevelts. Oh my God, so good. So fascinating. It's like 10 parts. It's just this gigantic chunk of American history that weaves you in and out of Teddy Roosevelt and Franklin Roosevelt and Eleanor Roosevelt. It's just like, oh my God. So we'll go baseball, we'll go to the Roosevelts, and then I just love his national parks. Ken Burns, round 3 of the Ken Burns draft, national parks. He did this another 10-part series on our national parks, which were every episode. We had James Muir, and took us through the beginning of conservationism in America and how it all started, and how America is the only country in the world that actually has these things that aren't developed. They're not allowed to be developed. They're just designated as these natural wonders, these places that should be available to all the citizens of the country. And that's the idea behind the national parks. It's just so good. That's made me want to go to all of them. I want to go to Sequoia. I want to go to Yellowstone. I've been to the Grand Canyon, but I want to go to the Grand Canyon again. It's just the Everglades. It's so fascinating. So Ken Burns, Ben Franklin, I'm very excited about this one. And I'm happy to see that it's trending and that other people also are excited about it. Ken Burns, Ben Franklin begins tonight on PBS. It concludes tomorrow night. It is a 4 hours, maybe 4.5, 5 hours, something like that. But a 2-part, Ben Franklin getting the Ken Burns treatment starting tonight and tomorrow. Ben Franklin's cool too. He's very, very interesting. But really? Ben Franklin's interesting? All right, shut up. Ben Franklin's like the most interesting guy. Certainly he's the most interesting of all of our founding fathers. And he's on a $100 bill. Waffle House is trending. Why is Waffle House trending? Well, Waffle House is trending because, quite frankly, if I had to do a personal favorite restaurant draft, I'd get to the Waffle House before the 5th round. I would absolutely. I don't know exactly where I'd put it in there, but I One of the things that I like most about traveling cross country, certainly in the southern region of the United States, is Waffle Houses. Boy, oh boy, you wake up, like, you check out of the hotel. I have been known to, after I check out of a hotel, or when I'm in a hotel, one of the first things that I will do is I will look for the nearest Waffle House, because that's the morning. That's how you get started. I'm going to get my coffee at the Waffle House. I'm going to get my jalapeno hash browns, fried eggs. I'm going to get that. Oh God, do I love a good Waffle House. So good. So why is Waffle House trending? Well, I'll show you. Because it's Masters Week. Augusta National there in Georgia. Waffle House is a Georgia-based restaurant chain. And check this out. So Adidas, the shoe company Adidas, has teamed up with Waffle House to commemorate the Masters, and they have created the Waffle House Adidas shoe. All right. Adidas releases Masters-inspired shoe collaboration with the Waffle House. Which, let's check out these shoes, shall we? All right, there we go. There's the Waffle House shoe. Oh my God. Look at that food. Is there anything better than Waffle House hash browns? There's not. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Waffle House hash browns with onions, and you get them to mix in some cheese and some jalapenos. Oh my God. All right, so let's get a look at these Waffle House shoes. Let's get a better look at them. There they are. That's the Waffle House shoe. What makes it a Waffle House shoe? Well, I don't know if you can see it, but it's like a waffle. See all the little indentations? So it's an ugly color. I guess that's waffle colored with syrup, I suppose. Syrup dripping. You can see how it's pooling. They do it like the whole syrup. And then you got the syrup pooling down here too. But really that's the big thing. The fabric is like a waffle fabric. So I think you can maybe kind of see it up here. You see the little circles, like the waffle circles, like a waffle iron. All right, there you go. That's why Waffle House is trending. Is there any Waffle House hatred going on in the chat room? Because I will not abide. I will not abide by Waffle House hatred. Waffle House is good for the food and the possibility of getting to see a street fight. Yeah. I don't think it's good for the food. I think the food is good. I think that the food at Waffle House is very good. And the coffee's good too. Although I seem to drink a lot more coffee at Waffle House than I would if I just went to a regular restaurant and had coffee in the morning. I don't know why I drink Waffle House coffee so quickly. You know why? Because I always sit right there and I just drink, and the Waffle House waitress comes by and just constantly refills the coffee. So I think that's it. I think it's just because it's constantly full that I keep drinking it. Whataburger has a shoe too. Do they? All right. Adam's got a Waffle House story. So we'll save that for the end of the show. Adam, put a pin in it. I'll come back. I'll come back in the segment where I check out the chat goings-ons. Let's see what else. So we did Waffle House. Here we go. Peaky Blinders is also trending. Peaky Blinders, Stephen Knight, the creator of Peaky Blinders. Peaky Blinders is a show. It's a British show. It's a BBC show, but it's very popular on Netflix. And I absolutely love it. I would put Peaky Blinders is easily in. I know you always say this, but it is. Peaky Blinders is in my top 5 favorite shows of that kind of all time. It is. It absolutely is. Peaky Blinders, if you've never seen it, boy, do I envy you. If you have never seen Peaky Blinders and you're like, oh, hey, Pug suggested some show that I should check out. Oh, do I envy you? Because you have 5 seasons of some of the greatest, most violent and interesting television. Peaky Blinders is the story of a street gang, a real street gang in the history of Birmingham, England, called the Peaky Blinders. And why are they called the Peaky Blinders? Because they all wore these hats, and the kinds of hats that they wore back in those days, like the chimney sweep hats, those hats were called peakies because they came to a little peak. And the Peaky Blinders would keep razor blades in the brim of their hats. And when they come up to you on the street, they would start arguing with you, and then they would take their hat off and they would slash you across the eyes with the razor blades, and they would blind you. Peaky Blinders. It sounds like a really stupid, names. It sounds like a kiddie show. It sounds like Teletubbies or some bullshit like that. But it's not. It is the story of a real organization, the Peaky Blinders, that really did exist, and the crime family that ran it, the Shelbys of Birmingham, who went from street gang members in the post World War I era to, respected members of parliament. And so it's a really, really good. Stephen Knight is the creator of Peaky Blinders. The final season is airing right now on the BBC. And that means that as soon as it finishes airing on the BBC, then it'll jump over to Netflix. So the final season of Peaky Blinders is expected, I want to say, in early June. But Stephen Knight is talking about it. I clicked on the story that is the reason why Peaky Blinders is trending, and it said spoilers ahead, and I said, okay, not going to read it. So there you go. But here's what I do know about it. The finale of season 5, which is the series finale, we see how the Shelby family shakes out. The finale of Peaky Blinders is setting up a movie that has already been, created and greenlit and all that kind of stuff. So, and they're expecting it to be a major theater release. So the 5 seasons of the TV show, and now they're going to do like a big movie. So there you have it. We'll find out how the Shelby family went. Also pro tip for watching Peaky Blinders. And this is really important. If you have closed captioning, who doesn't have closed captioning? Okay. So when you put on Peaky Blinders, just engage the closed captioning. And I'm not saying you need it. It's not in a foreign language. They're speaking English, but they're speaking street thug, turn of the century working class English, London, Birmingham, all that stuff, and there's a lot of slang that you miss. So if you have the closed captions on, and because the dialogue is so great, that's what's the best part about it. There is so well written. So if you have the closed captions, it's very helpful. So what do you say? And you can look down and go, oh wow, he said that. So there you go. It's a little bit of a pro tip for you if you're new to the whole Peaky Blinders universe. Somebody by the name of Gunu, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this right. Goo. Okay, first of all, I am pronouncing it right because it's Goonew. One word, Goonew. Gunu. Okay? Gunu is a rapper, a hip hop guy. Never heard of him, but that doesn't mean that he isn't super famous, because as I'm learning daily, there some of these hip hop guys that I've never heard of are super famous. Gunu, well, he died. He died like a month ago. He died in kind of typical hip hop fashion. He was gunned down. He was gunned down and murdered. And he had a funeral over the weekend. And the funeral was at a club, a Washington, D.C. hip hop club is where they had the funeral. And they dragged his body into the club and they propped him up and people were dancing and partying. And like old Gunu was like doing a Weekend at Bernie's kind of a deal at the club. Here, you got to see this. This is the craziest. Oh my God. What are you kidding me? This is nuts. Disrespectful? I don't know. He might have thought it was cool. Doesn't that really determine whether or not it was disrespectful? So here we go. Gunu had a funeral and it was at a club and it was a crazy party and his corpse was there. There he is. There's old Gunu. Look at him. Got a crown on his head. He's, you see people here. What if we play this? What'll happen? Let's see. Contains scenes some viewers may find upsetting. Not my viewers. Tasteless? Sure. But, hey, maybe Gunu was tasteless. Who knows? Maybe he didn't mind being tasteless. Hey, to each his own. All right. And finally today, I thought this was funny. This was trending, still is, last I checked, which was like an hour and a half ago. Hinsdale. Hinsdale is trending for those of my. We talked about South Lake. We talked about South Lake earlier in the show. South Lake is the Hinsdale of Dallas Fort Worth. Hinsdale is a very wealthy not even upper middle class, upper class suburb in Chicago, and it's trending because this guy Marcus Lemonis, who is one of these reality star entrepreneurs, like, I'll fix your business. He had a show on CNBC, I think it was, or maybe it was MSNBC. I don't know, but it was kind of like Jake Tapper and his bar rescue kind of a thing, except if you had a business, like a small business that was sucking, you'd call Marcus Lemonis and he would come in and he'd show you what you're doing wrong and, all that kind of stuff. So Marcus Lemonis has this like fancy store in Hinsdale, and over the weekend it got broken into. It got somebody smashed the window and stole some stuff, and Marcus Lemonis went on Twitter and said, Chicago continues to disappoint, right? And so Hinsdale is trending because millions of people, not millions, don't overstate it, but enough to get it trending, are saying, dude, shut the F up. It's not Chicago. It's Hinsdale. It's 40 miles outside of Chicago, or 40 minutes outside of Chicago. It's like 20 miles west of Chicago. That is not Chicago. That is Hinsdale. Stop acting like because your, expensive jewelry store that you own got broken into, that somehow this is indicative of some crime problem that's happening in Chicago's inner cities. Just stop it. So that's why Hinsdale is trending. One of the comments, though, that was trending near the top, I really thought was funny. This comes from Devin. Devin says, I grew up in Hinsdale, and honestly, I'm just so thankful that my brother and I overcame the odds and made it off those mean streets. It's just the sheer luck that we never caught a stray golf ball or got involved in some sort of polo playing gang, which is funny because Hinsdale has polo fields. They play polo, the horses. Good times. Good times. That's why Hinsdale is trending. All right. What am I missing? Is there anything else here that I am missing? Let's see. Let's go through the trends one more time very quickly, see if anything has popped up since we started doing the show. I thank you to April, who told us about the Kanye. Kanye's doing that thing where he's been fired, but you can't fire me because I quit, about Coachella. He's like, I ain't going to go to Coachella. Well, they weren't going to have you. Let's see. Elon is trending. Coachella is now trending. Kanye West won't be performing at Coachella this year. Oh, wait a second. Maybe I got it wrong. Is he not performing at Coachella because they fired him? Or no, Kanye West pulls out of Coachella. Kanye West has pulled out of his scheduled appearance at the Coachella Festival, a source confirms to Variety. All right, I think this is another one of those Will Smith resigns from the Oscars thing. I think it's because they were going to cancel him, but maybe this is easier. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but feels like it because there was a whole lot of talk about how Coachella didn't want him there. Secret Service is still trending. We talked about that. Truth Social is still trending. Tucker Carlson is still trending. Don't want to go into that. This is only of importance to me, but why is DeMar DeRozan trending? Let me click on it. Don't be hurt. 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 Okay, good. He's not. It's just, never mind. Buka is still trending. Brandon Cooks is trending. Apparently the Texans have received multiple calls on trade talks for Brandon Cooks. Okay, that's it. There's really nothing new. Although, wait, let me just quickly check on this. Here's one that I skipped over. Prince William and Kate Middleton are moving into Buckingham Palace. This is being seen as an indication that the Queen, I'll probably be doing a show here in the next, not too distant future where we talk about the death of the Queen, because they're saying that that's a big indicator that the Queen might be having some pretty rough times. Prince William and Kate Middleton are moving back into Buckingham Palace to be closer to the Queen. And that's it. That's all. That's all we really got. All right, let's see here. Let's jump into the chat room. Ross Rubio says, despite my peccadillos, I'm not interested in partying with a 3-week-old corpse. Oh, do you have some peccadillos that involve corpses and sexual royal death? Jeff Glenn, I don't know that we're in a royal death watch per se. But the conditions are right. We'll put it that way. The condition. Hey, speaking of, aren't we supposed to have some like real shitbag weather around here today? I got stuff I got to do. I got to get out. I got to run around. I got to go to the bank. I got to do all kinds of things. Let's check out what the weather today in North Texas is supposed to be. I don't know. On Saturday, that David Frinfrock, he was talking about hail and all kinds of. Yeah, look at this. We got thunderstorms coming. All right. When do the storms start? 3 p.m. Okay, so 3 p.m. it's going to start with light rain, and then by 4 p.m. we got thunderstorms. 5 p.m. thunderstorms. 6 p.m. heavy thunderstorms. 7 p.m. thunderstorms. Then 8 p.m. we're back into the heavy thunderstorms. Heavy thunderstorms going all the way to 11 o'clock, and then just rain throughout. Okay, yeah. So we're gonna get some weather. We're gonna get some of that cool ass North Texas spring weather. Tornado watch. That's what we're looking at. Royal Death Watch is a decent band name. It is, Ross. That is a very good. That is a good band name. Yeah. Adam Rainey says, "I have no peccadillos. I've got strange bedfellows." Okay. All right. Nothing wrong with that, man. Hey, you do what you want to do as long as everybody's consenting to the weirdness. I am not weird. I'm not weird in that regard, and I've been open about it. Let's see here. Adam says the Civil War and Vietnam documentaries from Ken Burns are great. Yeah, I disagree with you on the Civil War, but you're right about the Vietnam one. The Vietnam one is really good. That would have been, you know what? I abandoned my draft. I did. I abandoned my draft after I went with my top 3. It's just a 3-round draft for me. Baseball, Roosevelt's national parks, but Vietnam War, absolutely. That belongs in there. Country music, Jeff. Oh, there we go. We're filling out my top 5. Ken Burns' country music was so good. Oh, I got to rethink it. You know what? Ken Burns' country music might be second now. Baseball's always going to be number 1 for me because it's just so well done. Just the minutia that he got into with baseball was so fascinating. You really have to be a baseball fan to appreciate Ken Burns' baseball because it goes hard in like the pre-World War II era. So it's really interesting. But I forgot about country music, man. Thank you. You know, I watched the Ken Burns country music documentary, and another one that was like multi-parts. I watched that and I remember thinking, I'm going to start liking country music now. Ken Burns just made it okay for me to like country music. It was great. Adam says, I'm very open about my transsexual porn as well as my scared girl porn. No, I am not. I am not. First of all, he's going back 20 years. The transsexual porn is not something that I was into. It was something, if I remember correctly, there was a series of videos that I enjoyed because I found them very funny, because they would take a transsexual and she would pick up a straight guy, and then at some point during the lovemaking or the lovemaking process or the ramp up to the lovemaking, the straight guy would realize that she was a dude. And it was that I enjoyed. How dare you? I enjoyed watching This is also not something I watched by myself. This is stuff I watched with people. I'd be like, oh, watch this guy. How do you think this guy's going to react? And as far as the scared girl porn, I don't want to go into that. I don't want to go into that because you might be kind of right on that. As there is something to a certain style of gonzo filmmaking that I in my younger days found quite interesting. The girl who wasn't quite sure what she was doing. She wasn't quite sure she had made the right decision, but rent's got to be paid, and here she is. There is something interesting that I found about that. But I've really, man, the past 15 years of my life, I've become a bore. I'm a snooze. You say that too much. All that means is that you're freakier than anyone else, and you're using that as a defense mechanism. I suppose that does make some sense, but it's not true. I wish it were. I wish I was more interesting. I wish that I could have all of these stories. I just don't. And I was reminded a couple months ago, somebody pointed out that I was in a relationship, a public relationship with a girl years ago, and one of the topics was how boring I had become. Like this particular person was interested in, having sex in a car, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And that's sort of the beginnings. That era of me is the beginnings of me going, yeah, you know what, sex is kind of overrated. It's not something that I'm going to really use as a driving force for my life. Jeff says, like I told my boys, it's your soap, and you can wash it as fast as you want to. Adam says, hey man, whatever gets you off. We're all weird in our own porn categories. That's true. That is true. Here, you know what? Wait a second. Let's see. Well, I'll do this fine because I don't. What's a good one? Okay, so Pornhub is the big one, right? So Pornhub uses that algorithm, right? That if I remember correctly from my younger days, and actually there's a comedian that I like has a bit about this, but apparently if you sign into, or not sign in, I guess if you just go to like a Pornhub, it will not only take you to their page, but all of the videos that it shows will be videos that Pornhub has determined you're into. Does this make any sense to you guys? Is this making any sense? Like if you like MILFs, right? Or if you like a particular large-breasted MILFs. So if you like that, and that's what you've seen previously that's what you've sought out previously on Pornhub, when you sign in, it will give you that kind of stuff. And all of your other, shall we say it again, peccadillos, all of your other peccadillos are mixed in. So you can really tell somebody. The comedian was a joke about interviewing people for jobs and how what he really wants to see is them open up their laptop and go to their Pornhub page so that tells him more about the person they're hiring that's pretty funny. So hold on, let's try that live on the air. Now I have not used, oh, just stop it. Okay. Let's see what we got. Let's see what comes up. Okay. Pop up. Okay, so the very first one is cheating wife seduces another man to impregnate her. I gotta be honest, that's not anything that. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about these. I don't want some of these. I mean, it's not because I'm embarrassed. It's just because I don't even want to say the words. I don't want to do this kind of show. Wow, that's. Oh, I like this. Who's this Machine Gun Kelly looking? You know what? Okay, I'm out. Here's what I think. I think that young people don't know how to have sex. I think that all of the new porn stuff that they're putting out there, it's just, I was on this page and just everybody's covered in tattoos and, God. Moving on. Large-breasted MILFs. Doesn't that seem even for like, all right, so I'm a guy of my age, large-breasted MILFs coming up on my page. Isn't that boring? I mean, isn't that like for a guy? I mean, isn't that one? At least it's age appropriate, right? I mean, at least it's, I'm looking at women who are women, not, it's not like some weird babysitter, simulated, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's, at least that's normal. And large breasted, is that weird? I mean, guys like large breasts. I don't. So even my Pornhub algorithm is boring. It's so unpredictable. But some of the other things that came up, I did not like, and they cannot possibly be a part of any algorithm that's geared towards me and this computer, because anyone who knows me knows that I don't like girls covered in tattoos, and it's not my thing. No. And that's what I saw. I saw this Machine Gun Kelly looking dude and, with some girl that was. All right. Anyway, we're going to move on. This is not noontime conversation. Dude, you did Shock Talk for 20 years. Times have changed. Schizophrenic me. Times have changed. I have grown. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to be done. Oh, I want to tell you, I discovered. Oh, hold on. I didn't discover. So when I go out for my runs during the week, Monday through Friday, when I try and get my 3 miles in, I listen to sports radio from my hometown of Chicago, because I only care about my teams of my youth who I still root for. So every day, Monday through Friday, when I go out for my run, I always listen to The Score in Chicago. I love it. But on weekends when I do my runs, that's when I do my podcasts. And I've told you, some of my favorite podcasts to listen to are How Did This Get Made? I love How Did This Get Made? I love Smartless. I love Armchair Expert. Those are pretty much my go-tos that I listen to. And I was looking at Smartless. I decided, I'm like, what's behind Smartless? What's the story? Because Smartless is Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes. 3 friends, 3 celebrities in their own right, 3 ridiculously wealthy dudes, successful actors, comedians, television stars, movie stars. I'm like, what's behind this? I'm going to figure out what's going on with Smartless. And I listened to a really good episode of Smartless. I don't know which episode was it that I really liked. I listened to 2, and I don't remember either one of them. Adam McKay. I think it was Adam McKay was a really good one. Yeah, Adam McKay was good. And David Spade was really good. David Spade was really good. That's right. Oh, and Charlie Day. Yeah, those are the 3 that I listened to this week, and they were all really good. The Smartless guys with Charlie Day, the Smartless guys with David Spade, and the Smartless guys with Adam McKay. Anyway, so I looked up Smartless, and I'm like, hey, I love this podcast. I've been listening to this podcast now for about a year. Let me see what's going on with this. What's happening here? Because how are these guys making any money at this? How are these guys doing this? Because these guys, they're doing movies, they got TV, they're doing production pilots. How is it that they just have time to get together and do this so consistently, and they've never missed a show, and they just post so consistently, and they seem to be so into it. They're not bored with this at all. These are guys that do not need to be podcast. And then I read $80 million. They got paid $80 million from Amazon to create the Smartless podcast exclusively for them or whatever. I mean, I listen to it on Spotify. So whatever that deal is, I don't know how they $80 million. So then I went and did the same thing with Armchair Expert, which is Dax Shepard, who's so interesting, so good. I just listened to one with him and Nick Offerman. So good, so interesting. Such a fun, Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell are my favorite Hollywood couple. I love them. They're adorable. So this podcast is really good, Armchair Expert. $10 million a year. Armchair Expert brings in $10 million a year. Oh boy. Oh well. Anyway, those are just some good podcast recommendations. If you're in how did this get made? I don't know how much that makes. I'm not sure. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's any real numbers out that support the economy of How Did This Get Made. But How Did This Get Made is probably my favorite of the 3. How Did This Get Made stars Jason Mantzoukas, who I just find to be hysterically funny. He played Rob. It's Jason Mantzoukas and the dude who played Dr. Andre from The League. I don't know if you remember the show, the FX show, The League, but it's the guy who played Rafi and the guy who played Dr. Andre. And it's June, another woman, a girl, a female comedian and actress who does a bunch of stuff too. She's on there as well. So it's 3 people, and they always bring in a guest. It's always like a big, cool guest, Adam Scott or somebody like that. And what they do is each episode they talk about a movie, and it's usually like a bad movie from the 80s or a bad movie from the 90s. And they all get together and they all watch it, and then they just tear that movie apart for however long, an hour, 2 hours. The most recent one that I listened to, I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie, but now I want to watch Fast 9 because I just heard the How Did This Get Made podcast where they just go in on how did this get made on Fast and the Furious 9 or something. I don't know. They're so funny. They're so funny. Their observations, and they've all made movies, so they talk about technical aspects of the film too, but they're just funny. Jason Mantzoukas is one of the funniest people in Hollywood. He's hysterical. That's all I got. I got nothing else for you. So there you go. 3 podcast recommendations. Also, we do this show on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. I am really enjoying the Nick DiGiulio podcast, which you can find on the Radio Misfits podcast platform. Nick DiGiulio is he's a legendary personality in the Chicagoland area. He does movie talk and TV talk, and he's very funny. He's really good. You can enjoy that, as well as a whole bunch of incredible podcasts to suit just about any interest. That's right. Radio Misfits has something for absolutely everyone. So when you're looking for something new, something interesting, something that, you wouldn't really come across before, check out radiomisfits.com for a whole bunch of really good podcasts. There's so many podcasts out there. I just don't know what to... Okay.
Taking a step back and realizing that dude in that truck.
I'm sorry. I thought I was playing John Hinckley. That was Nick Offerman from The Armchair Expert. He was talking about something.
I have got my poetry. I have got my songs. To see me through the lonely nights.
Large-breasted MILFs, Ross, is another good band name. Good band names just fall from trees. Good band name, Fall from Trees. Look at that. Yeah. We could just come up with... you see all these stupid band names. It's like, well, you can find a good band name anywhere. They just happen organically. They happen organically. Look at that. That's another band name. Okay, now it's sounding too much like 90s pretentious alt-rock bands.
Like the dancing bear, trained to be the best. I am on a never-ending quest.
Thank you, Adam. Paul Scheer. Yeah, he's right. Paul Scheer, June Diane Raphael. I think it's his. Yeah, it is his wife. Adam says. How Did This Get Made? Is Jason Mantzoukas, Paul Scheer, and his wife June Diane Raphael. And I shouldn't be giving June Diane Raphael the short shift because she's awesome. Oh, do I have a crush on her? She is. I don't even know what she looks like. She is fantastic. She's funny. She's smart. Man, did Paul Scheer get lucky.
I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is...
All right, now I want to see what June Diane Raphael looks like, and I think that you people should benefit from my instant reaction. All right, maybe there's just a... Let's see here. How did this get made? Let's see here. Images. Oh, she's darling. Yeah. All right, there you go. All right, so here's the How Did This Get Made cast. There they go. Look at them. There they go. That's them. That's what you look. That's okay. So there's Dr. Andre from The League. There's Rafi. This dude, man, I'm sorry. Jason Mantzoukas, he is one of those guys with that magic power where the minute he shows up in a scene, he doesn't have to say anything. He doesn't have to do anything. He just moves into the frame and I start to giggle because I know something funny is about to happen with this guy. And that's her. So that's June Diane Raphael. I guess I never really, yeah, she's fine. What a wonderful group they are. They're fine.
Understood. It has been a journey, a multi-answer test. I am on a never-ending.
Tonight, pillow talk. Maybe Kelly. I think Kelly. She said last Monday she'd do Mondays. I gotta reach out to her.
Quest. Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come.
I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I have got an okay.
All right, I got stuff to do before it rains. Bye, everybody.
I don't need no 401. I don't have the greed. Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. Tomorrow is another day. The best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come,
I have found a different way, so baffling to some. I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood.
It's understood,
Down the road I'll travel, far from the comfort nest. I am on a never-ending quest. I am on a never-ending quest.